All right, so how much should an owner get paid? Well, there's a number of factors. Let's look at the profit first model. So the profit first model would say typically about 15% of your gross. So the breakdown that they have is for 0 to 250, 5% would go to profit, would be 12.5, 50% to the owner's pay, and then 45% towards operations and tax, which would be about 55% or 137.5. Then if we move down to what they recommend for 250 to 500, we change some of the percentages. So 10% towards profit, 35% for owner's pay. That'd be 225K, so 45% with 55 towards operating and taxes. And then when you're in the 500K to million, we're looking at 15% and towards profit, 20% towards the owner's pay for 350, which is 35%. Now, I think the problem with that, though, is when we look over here at when you have staff with a percentage. That could be clinicians, that could be employees. Now, this is based on a 50-50 split. That can obviously improve the situation, or if you have an employee. But, if we're saying, typically we want to shoot for 45% net, let's see if that can happen. So 0 to 100K in your solo, we're looking at your expenses maybe around 30%, taxes 15 to 20%. Of course, talk to your own tax accountant, people like that. Owner taking 50% of that, so $50,000. At a group practice, if we just keep the owner the same all the way through, and then keep the percentages the same for the most part for the group, if clinicians have a 50-50 split, that would leave 75K for that owner. And then out of that, they'd have to have some operations, which won't be quite as expensive because, a lot of that's fixed costs like rent or phones versus variable costs. And then your taxes, pulling that out, that's going to leave 56,250 for the owner, or a total of 42.5% total, 106K. So let's compare that though to this group over here that's in the 250. That's going to be 55% versus 42%. Profit first versus paying people as a percent. If we go over to the 250K to 500K owner doing the same thing, 400K coming from the group. Now we've got a clinicians taking 50% again, and then taking that 200K and pulling 25% out for that operations and tax. That's going to leave 150K for the owner, plus their 50K that they brought in. That's going to be 200K, so now 40%. So actually a smaller percentage, but still more money. Then when we look at the 500K to 1 million, we look at the owner being at 100K still. Now that person may decide they don't want to work that much at that point. 900K coming in for the group, and then clinicians taking 50%. Of that 450 that's left, 25% being for operations and tax, and then the total amount being 387.5 or 38.75%, which is actually a higher percentage for that rate than what Profit First has. So really it depends on, Profit First is based on a typical business that just has employees. So if you have employees, that may be a good method for you, or maybe you're going to do some sort of combined method here, depending on some of these numbers.